Hi everyone, and welcome to Friday Findings with Nareen's Life with MS. And as always, I am Nareen. So, this Friday Findings, I actually have two very interesting stories, and both of them uh, pretty important the way I see it. And I'd let you be the judge, but of course, I will always share both of these stories, or at least the links to the articles that I was reading on um, the you know description of this video. So with that said, let's start off. This is actually interesting because both of them are pretty important. But I think the one thing I will do is leave maybe the best for last. So the first one is more about something that was found in regards to, a version of MS called Tumefactive MS or TMS, which is, of course, one of the rarer forms of MS. And usually, one of the things that does happen with it is that the lesions end up being much larger. And of course, another part is that, you might not do very well on steroids. So this was done on a patient, a 32-year-old, that too, um, who was facing TMS, and they were not able to, they weren't responding well to steroids. Steroids weren't really doing much. And what the doctors found out was, with a little bit of plasma therapy alongside, the ocrelizumab, which is usually under the brand name Ocrevus, they actually found that there was improvement in this person, and that this person actually showed some benefit, which they weren't able to see because this patient was unfortunately not having that good of a reaction to steroids. So that was, I mean, it's a great thing. And considering that TMS is definitely a much rarer form of MS, it is great to see that some good is also coming over there, um, with these people, with patients who might actually find some relief with this other form of treatment. So that is, of course, a really big thing. And now I'll go on to probably the bigger news, which is that one drug company has just been approved by the US FDA for a biosimilar for a drug. And I'll just name the drug, um, and you can maybe guess, but the drug's name, I think, is Tyruko. And if you couldn't guess it, it is a biosimilar to Tysabri. Now, I've talked about Tysabri before, and it is probably the most effective, you know, medication out there to treat, MS in many of its forms. And because it is such a, because it's got one of the higher efficacy rates, usually there is always a test done to make sure that whether you can actually take Tysabri or not. But the issue with Tysabri, along with majority of the MS drugs, especially the name brands that are out there, are that they are very expensive, right? And but the good thing is, now that Tysabri has gotten past a few years or many years of actually being out here, out in the market, they finally were able to license a biosimilar, and a company was able to create a biosimilar which, while it has been present in about 14 different European countries, finally got approved by the US FDA, which means that there will be a lot more people who will be able to access, something, Tysabri like medication, or Tysabri pretty much, just at a much lower price. So that is, of course, huge news. And, for me especially, I love to see that more people are getting access to these kinds of drugs, especially the more effective drugs, because those are the ones that end up being more expensive. They end up being created more recently, and as a result, uh, they generally come to a very few people who actually have the means to buy it, either on their own or through some very good some very good insurance, if they have any. So this is, of course, great news. And when we look at the fact that both of these pieces of news are actually on the good side, I am so happy that I'm able to share the happiness that that MS is, there is definitely an upward trend in a lot of things happening with MS, especially in terms of treatments, especially in terms of you know access for people who generally do not have the means to get many of these medications, to actually now have access to those medications. So I hope you're very happy with that. As I said, both links to both of these articles will be present in the description. And I hope and I hope you probably know of someone, if not, if not, I mean, you'll probably um, hear about someone benefiting from it, even if it is the people that might be mentioned in any of these articles. So with that being said, I think we are ending off this week on a great note. And considering that November's coming to an end, and December's right around the corner, it is going to be start of all of the holidays, all of the winter festivities. So I do hope that your weekend starts out right as well. And of course, if you are watching this, chances are it's most likely going to be Saturday, considering it's already Saturday here. So I just want to wish you a great weekend. And with that said, good night and sweet dreams. And of course, in regards to any of these articles that I do share your feedback, do share your inputs, do share your comments, so that we can get a conversation started on that. Thank you, everyone. Good night.